eventually many of us have given up those dreams, and we've realized that business is hard and there's sacrifice.
Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where we refine your messaging so it reflects the level you're now operating at with clarity and confidence. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for established, expert-led female business owners who know their work is exceptional but suspect their website and sales copy may be underselling the caliber of what they deliver. In each episode, we'll explore how strategic, ethical copy elevates your website, sales pages, and core messaging so your words communicate trust before someone ever books a consult or starts a conversation with you. If you're ready for a trusted partner who helps you clearly articulate what you do and why it matters, then you're in the right place. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on Seven Figure Copy. My name is Gina Whitehouse, and I am the host of this podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something that may start to feel very expensive, okay? So growth in your business is really supposed to feel expansive. But for a lot of established business owners, it starts to feel expensive. And when I say expensive, I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about emotionally, mentally, and operationally. Today, I'm joined by Jordan Tate, and his business is called The Intentional Business. He is a lifestyle-oriented business coach who helps established agency owners, consultants, and service providers simplify their operations so that their business actually supports their life instead of consuming it. Hear that again. Supports their life instead of consuming it. So what I love about Jordan's own story is that it began with burnout and the realization that success without alignment isn't really success at all. So this conversation really fits perfectly into our season 3 theme, which is messaging that matches the level you're operating at and the caliber of your offers. Because one of the hidden reasons growth starts costing us more than it should is because of unclear positioning, also known as messaging, okay? When your message is vague or it's outdated or it's not specifically actually speaking to the needs and wants of your ideal target audience, it will attract opportunities that look impressive but really create fiction in your business. Today, Jordan and I are going to unpack what's really happening when unclear positioning shows up operationally and what shifts when your messaging finally reflects the level you're operating at. So, thank you for being here. Let's listen. Hey, Jordan, I'm so glad you're here with us today. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Gina.
Yeah, so I just want to get right into the questions because I think we're going to have a really good discussion here. So from your work with established business owners, when growth starts to feel like emotionally, mentally, and operationally draining, what's usually happening under the surface? What have you seen? What's your experience here?
Well, as a coach, I get the inside scoop because I get to speak to business owners every day and hear really what's going on for them. And it's really a combination of usually when these feelings start to emerge, it's about a long-term path that they've been on of starting to work a few more hours each night, starting to pick up the laptop on the weekends, answering emails in bed, starting to skip the workout, missing their kids' baseball game, whatever it is. They've just started to make these small, subtle trades over time. And, at first they feel small and they're not having a huge impact. But when business owners have been doing this for years and they find themselves in a place where their business has taken over more of their life than they ever planned for it to, that's when I start to see resentment, frustration, stress. And eventually what I often hear from people is, I hate my business right now. I hate the way it's
so not good.
Taking everything that I thought it was going to provide. And I hate hearing that from people. So I love helping them through it. But yeah, really, I just think of it as no one intends to end up in that place, but it's these subtle trades that we make every day of, I'm just going to push for one more hour and try to see if I can get anything else done today. Or, I wanted to go out for a walk today. It was so nice, but I had that email that came in and instead I got buried in it. And we all do that. I'm included in that as well.
I've been there.
But
yeah,
there's a lot of cost subtly over time to that.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about your story because I want our listeners to have a little bit more context and just know a little bit more about you and how you ended up here as a business coach. And you say that you are a lifestyle-oriented business coach. So tell us what that means. And again, weave in a little bit of your story there so they have some context.
Yeah, when I say a lifestyle-oriented business coach, it's because I've worked with 300 plus business owners, everyone from day one launching with a new idea and a lot of passion up to, 10, 15 years in with big businesses with hundreds of employees. And along the way, every time I'm talking to a business owner, I'm asking, why did you start your business? What lifestyle did you create it to provide? And I hear the same stories. I want to have more freedom. I want to have more flexibility in my schedule. I want to earn more money than I was earning before. I want to spend my days doing things that I'm passionate about or that make an impact. And that's all, these are the great reasons we start businesses. But what I've seen over the years is whether it takes a year or 2 or 5, eventually many of us have given up those dreams. And we've realized that business is hard and there's sacrifice. And some days that's long work days. For some people, that's years without being able to afford a vacation or paying themselves the money they need. And so we make these trade-offs. And why I'm really passionate about helping business owners is because if you start your business for all those things and then it takes those things from you, it's a really difficult position to be in. And unlike an employee who can just quit a job and move on and find something better, it's really hard to do that as a business owner. But we also have the power to change the way we're working, to change the way our business functions, to improve our lifestyle, to get the things that we want. And I'm passionate about this because I've had my own business. I've had multiple businesses throughout my life. And the first one I did, I just stumbled into figuring out, how do I make a business provide the life I want from day one? Which meant I was 21, I had a painting business, and I would work 8 months a year, save every dollar I could, and then I would travel the world for the other 4 months a year. And I'd go to Europe for 4 months, or Asia or Australia. And over 4 years of doing that, I loved that I could earn the money I needed to provide the life I wanted, and I had the freedom that I wanted. And I couldn't get that freedom if I worked in a job for someone else with 2 weeks vacation or 4 weeks vacation. So I just stumbled into that accidentally at first. But then later I would talk to people who said, wow, that's really cool. You're so lucky. And I would say, well, no, you just tell people you're busy and you go on a trip, and that's what you do. And a lot of people realize no, that's actually a hard thing to do. So
it can be.
I experienced it for myself. And then I got to see firsthand with the businesses I was coaching, people really struggle to give themselves the things that they said they wanted.
That's great. Gosh, you said so many good things there that really resonated with me. And one of the things that kept going through my head is just intentionally designing your business in this way, right?
Yes.
We have to be intentional about it, and it doesn't happen easily, but it takes times where sometimes you've got to step away, or not step away. The word I'm looking for is, let's say every 6 months, reevaluate, kind of step away from your desk. That's what I mean, not from your business, but from your desk, and say, okay, am I going in that trajectory of where I wanted to be when I started this business? Which is really, really, just really helpful to do. And it's one of the reasons I reached out to you. You and I connected over LinkedIn, and I really enjoyed reading your posts. And I don't know, I can't say exactly what it is about it. Just something about what you're posting in your content really resonated. And since then, I've been following your work and listening to other podcasts you've been on. And I'm like, I think everybody could really benefit from this. And so we're going to talk about messaging today a little bit. We're going to get there. But the next question I want to ask you is, how do your clients usually describe this season that they're in before they have language? So going back to that first question, when their growth starts to feel just emotionally draining, operationally draining, just mentally draining, wanting to give up, burnt out, what do they usually say feels off? What are those small things that people should start looking for?
Yeah, it's what I hear the most is it's all around time and the feeling of I don't have enough time. I can never keep up. I'm always rushed. I'm always stuck in reactive mode. I'm putting out fires every day. My calendar is out of control. It's really around time, because I believe that when we feel in control of our time, we feel way less stress, and we're able to get the things done that we need to grow and achieve our goals, both in business and in life. But when our time feels out of control, which is very common in business, because you're selling your time to other people, or You have
Yeah.
employees, you have clients, you have your family, you have all these people making demands of you. That's where I really start with most people is my time is out of control. I'm burning out and I can't catch up. And some people, it takes them years of living in that mode to finally reach out for help. Other
Mm-hmm.
people are really, they start to see it happening. They can feel it slipping away. And my favorite is when a person reaches out to me and says, I'm quite busy right now and I can feel that it's about to get even
Yes.
worse. And I want to fix it now before it gets out of hand.
Yeah,
And that's the best case scenario versus
it is.
I'm completely out of control. I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm drowning. Now I need to fix it. It's not unfixable. We can do it, but you're a lot further gone, right?
Right. So you guys hear what he's saying right now. If you start to say these things, like you feel like you can't keep up, that you feel rushed, that you're in reactive mode, right? It's about your time. And we want to stop that as soon as we can before we get down the road. Okay, good. So this season, we're talking a lot about, or I'm talking a lot about on the podcast about how established business owners, how they're struggling with the challenge of their messaging and their copy not really reflecting the caliber of what they offer. And one thing that I see when this happens is that their messaging is either vague or outdated, and it attracts the wrong opportunities. And that's what I want to kind of hit on here is it attracts the wrong opportunities that might look good on paper, but in reality, it's causing friction. So from your side, from your perspective, how does this unclear positioning and messaging show up in someone's business?
Yeah, it definitely leads to a lot of wasted effort. And it could mean that, your marketing is not that efficient. So you have to do so much more. You're pumping out content every day and you're getting
Mm-hmm.
crickets. So then you try to double down and put out twice as much content, but it's still not getting through. And that's a big sign. You're wasting a lot of time, but it's not getting you the result you want. Or it could mean you're spending a lot of time in sales and follow up and chasing to try to close deals because the person you're trying to sell doesn't quite understand what it is you're providing or the value you can offer them, even if you're confident you can help them. And so there's a lot of effort that's lost in that. Whereas when these things are working well, when your messaging is clear, when people understand what it is that you do and you're selling, your marketing efforts are more efficient. You might put out a post, speak to a lot more people, and it might turn into a sale. You might have one sales conversation,
Right.
and at the end, they're saying, how do we work together? And that's so much more efficient. And when you think about growth, if you're constantly having to push harder and harder to get the next person, eventually you're going to run out of time or you're going to get drained and burned out on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what I see too is, and I've talking a lot about this season is just, um, getting into that hamster wheel of more content and putting stuff out there. Actually, I've pulled back on how much I post on social media. Like I don't have to be there every day, and I don't even have to be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just 2 or 3 good posts that really resonate with people. I've even for myself have tried not to overthink it, and I just sit down and I say, what have I heard lately from my clients? What are they
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because if they're going through it, and over months and months, you see the common threads, then I find that any time that I post about that on social media, that it gets a lot of response, right? So it's really those more meaningful, not every day, just a couple times a week, putting out some meaningful stuff there that really starts those good conversations instead of just trying to spend so much time putting so much stuff out there. So I agree with that a lot. And yes, when you feel like you are constantly having to explain your value, it takes a lot of just effort, but even just mental effort, right?
It
I think
does. And
so.
it's very difficult. I find I've struggled with this in my own business and I've worked
Hmm.
with copywriting coaches and marketing coaches because we're so close to the problem. We
Yes, I was
see
just
it
going to
so
say that.
differently than the market does. So I've coached hundreds of people for 10,000 plus hours. So I understand the nuance of coaching so much more. But if I'm trying to sell a person who typically has never worked with a coach, their understanding of what coaching is very different and what they think they need and want. So it's hard to connect to that. And But when you do, when you really put yourself in the shoes of the person you're trying to speak to and you meet them where they are, it resonates more. And I agree. The reason I say all this is because when my messaging wasn't connecting, I was putting a ton of time into content, hours every week. I was getting kind of crickets or like a low level of support, but no clients. My response was to just double down. And then it took me a long time to realize, actually, I should go back to the drawing board and figure out what's not connecting. And when I resolved that, when I got clear on who I was speaking to, what I was saying, what problems they were having and what they were experiencing, I had to put out way less content, and I got better feedback. And then I had people actually finally reaching out and saying, you really hit on what I'm experiencing and feeling right now. And it was different than what I know that a person needs, because I was speaking to what they want. And I think that's the biggest disconnect in copy and marketing right now is we're all like, well, I know what I want to sell them. I want to sell them coaching. I know they need to develop their leadership skills or something. But the person out there doesn't want coaching or leadership skills. They want more flow in their business. They want to grow and earn more money. They want to have more clients coming in. Like, that's how they're thinking about it. So we need to connect to that.
If you've ever thought, my business has evolved, but my website still feels pieced together, or my expertise is strong, but my messaging doesn't reflect the level I operate at, I want you to know right now that you're not alone. Every established business owner reaches this point where your growth just outpaces your message. And when your message doesn't match the offer or the service you provide now, it costs you credibility, clarity, and premium opportunities. So I'm here today to tell you that I want to help you go from second guessing how you're presenting your offers and expertise to showing up online with messaging that feels cohesive and aligned with the caliber of your work. Today, I'm inviting you to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me to determine whether you need a strategic copy audit or high converting done for you copy that finally reflects the level you're operating at. Go to the show notes today to book your call or visit www.whitehousesm.com. Yeah, so important. And I always talk about exactly what you said. Like, we are just so in our business that it's so hard to see in our business. And even as a copywriter and messaging strategist myself, I can't do it for myself. It's too hard. So I have someone who is on the outside, who's looking in and who gives me direction. That's so good. And like you were talking about, the difference between wants and needs, we need to figure that out, right? Because I could look at someone and I could think, and I'm not taking my copywriter messaging strategy hat off right now, but just in general as a business owner, right? You can look at something that you're trying to sell, a product, service, or offer, and think that they want that certain thing, but it's not really what they need. And so going back to that idea of bringing in someone from the outside, like what I do for my clients is I will actually go and interview their most satisfied clients and customers. And it's really good because it takes away a few things. First of all, I think a lot of time as business owners, we don't want to go back to our people. Like, we might be scared or there's some kind of fear there, but having an outside person go in and do it and asking those really poignant questions, like the before, the after. How did you feel before you worked with this person and you had this struggle? And how long did it take you to figure out how to solve this? And all these different questions I ask. And that's where that language is. And that's where that gold is, So being able to invest in a copywriter to come in and do that for you is just so important. And it really just nails down that messaging so that I can basically say, here you go. This is what you're supposed to be saying to your client or customer so that it resonates with them. That's so good. Let me ask you another question. Did you see any difference in how your messaging had to change when you first started your business to now? Like, how has it evolved?
It's evolved a lot. It's been 3 years in this current business. And at the beginning, I was pumping out a lot about my philosophy. I was really passionate about trying to help people see that, working less is actually a great path. You can have a better life today if you work less and you live your life more. And I was really passionate about that message, but it wasn't landing. I was just basically telling people you should be working less. And when you work less, you'll be happier. What started to connect was many people I worked with, they were saying, well, I still want to grow. I just don't want it to cost me so much. Or, I would happily work less, as long as I was making the money I needed to first. And so to me, working less was the goal, but to a lot of other people,
Yeah.
at first was I need to grow, I need to hire, I need to earn more money, then I'll work less. And those are more the problems I'm helping people solve now is how do we make the business more efficient? How do we solve the operations? How do we remove the bottlenecks? And then once you've hit some of those initial goals, you're earning more money, you have the support you need, your business is growing faster, then let's talk about working less and having more freedom
Yeah.
and doing those things. So that was a big aha moment for me when I went back and reread it all, was trying to convince people, trying to change their minds with content, which is hard, instead of just
Mm-hmm.
meeting them where they are and talking about what they're focused on solving at that time. And that was
Yeah.
when things really shifted for me.
So good. And when you were saying that, I had this mental image. Have you ever seen, like, people post on social media that picture of like the iceberg and you just see
Yes.
the little part on top, but then you see this big thing on the bottom? Well, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like in the beginning of your business, and this is what I think, well, I know a lot of people do because I did it in my own business when I first started, is that the top, that little part that you see, those are the things you think they need. Those are the things that you were saying. You were saying, that you should be working less hours. Let me show you how to work less hours. But then under the surface were all those other little things that you only realized after working with many clients. So if anybody's listening right now and you may not be at, let's say you're not at a very established stage yet, you're maybe just beginning, but you're listening because you want to take away all these good tips. Sometimes it just takes a while. It just takes, you don't have to have it nailed down right away, but the smart thing to do is to work with different types of people, and you're going to learn who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with. But over time, you're going to start to see those common threads, and that's going to help you to evolve your messaging, which you have to at some point, right? As your business grows, you just have to.
Yeah. And when you start your business, you have one idea of how it might work and what you're going to be doing and for who. And depending on what you were doing before, you might have a really good understanding of that, or it might be a complete guess. But once you start working with more and more people, you see patterns, you hear the same thing again and again, and you start to pay attention to that. I think a lot of this is you can enhance the speed of this learning now with AI. Just being able to,
True.
like, I'll do a lot of back and forth with AI around, here are the notes from my discovery calls. What's
That's
the
good.
real core problem? What are they saying? How are they saying it in their own words? Here's where we get to 3 months into working together. What's that path look like in the journey? And again, trying to get outside of me framing it from my perspective, but getting into what are people saying and how are they saying it? And yeah, I mean, my first 2 years in business, every single week I was changing my LinkedIn headline. Every single week I was going on
It's
my
the
website
constant
and
tweaking.
redoing the header image and everything. And that was because I was learning as I was going and I was trying to capture it. And now it changes maybe every 6 months. Like I look at it often,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this still speaks to me because I've got the evidence for how I got here, and it will still evolve. We have different interests and the market evolves, but it's helpful when you've just put the time in and then you don't have to question it so much.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So you mentioned bottleneck. I want to go back to that idea really quick. Where do you see most often business owners like accidentally become a bottleneck as their business grows?
The first big one, so, most people, you start as a solopreneur, freelancer, contractor, whatever it is, and then you work your way up. The first one is they get buried in client work. So if your marketing's good, your sales are good, suddenly over time, you get to the place where almost every hour is committed to keeping up with your clients. And when you hit that place, you stop marketing. You get a little bit afraid of, if I make another sale, I'm going to be too busy. You fall behind on your bookkeeping, whatever it is. And you just get stuck with service delivery, which is fine. That's one path to make money. But if you want to go beyond that, you need to start replacing yourself in different parts of your business. And the first ones that I always look at with people are hire a professional bookkeeper, an accountant, maybe hire some admin support, hire some marketing support, and then eventually hire some customer delivery support. When you get these pieces in place, each one removes a certain chunk of work that was on your plate. They get done better because they're being done by a professional who's fully dedicated to doing it. And then in removing yourself as a bottleneck, you're always trying to say, where can I free up my time that's being spent either poorly or it's blocking me from doing the other things I want to do? And where I often help people is just, what's the 10 hours a week that you want off your plate? Let's just start there.
Okay.
If you can get 10 hours back every single week, write down, like we pull up the calendar, what are those 10 hours? And for a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's the back and forth around emails and scheduling and invoicing and all these things. Okay, great. Let's get you some admin support. Or every new client I sell adds 5 hours a week to my workload. Okay, you need some support there. Otherwise, you hit a ceiling. And really, the bottleneck is just the point where you're actually restraining the growth of the business because you don't have the time to do everything. Because if you're, especially when you're solo, you're putting 10% of your time into marketing, 10% into sales, 50% into clients, 10% into finance. You're spreading really thin. And when you want to start growing faster and building a team, ultimately you want to be able to put 100% of your time into certain things or 50%, and then still have progress being made in the other areas of your business.
That's good. And I'll say from my perspective as a copywriter, some of the, how would I say it? We go back to the idea you're talking about was time, right? And with my clients, they're spending just so much time trying to be their own copywriter, right?
Yes.
And like you said, going back and doing the tweaking and, changing the header, because you're changing the messaging or the graphic design or whatever, that kind of thing. And so one of the things I really like about what I do is helping business owners with that time aspect. I mean, that's really what copywriting, conversion copywriting does help with is taking that off their plate, right? The clients I work with that are just like, here's my copy, Gina. I just want you to do it. They don't want to fiddle with it anymore. And they hire me for done for you copy. They know that this is not the best use of their time.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So it gives them back that time so they can really focus on the things that they needed to do to drive sales in their business or to go and find more clients for their business or sell more of their products or offers, whatever it is. So definitely, again, it kind of goes back to like just delegation, finding someone to bring into your business that can take some of this stuff off your plate.
Yeah. And where people struggle with this is in the first few years of your business, you're usually limited financially, but you have a lot of time. So you just learn how to do everything yourself and it works. And then eventually you find yourself fully committed. Your calendar is full. Yeah. You don't have more room, but you're always trying to make more room. And when you've hit your capacity, the only way to get more work done is either get more efficient with what you're already doing, or bring in additional hours through support. And then the best places to start are the things that you're not that skilled at. So copywriting, bookkeeping, could be marketing for some people, or you hate doing. Because every business owner, they have things that they do every single day that they hate. And when they're doing that, they're slow, they're frustrated, it's draining. And more importantly, it's keeping them away from doing the thing that they're passionate about, that they're skilled at. Yes. So an exercise I like to do with people just initially is we pull up their calendar and we go hour by hour and we say, what's the value of each hour that you're currently investing in your business? Some of that time is worth $20 an hour. Some of it's worth 50, 100. Some of it's worth 1,000 or 10,000, depending on the scale of what you're doing and the problems you're solving. And every hour you're currently doing that's worth $20 an hour is preventing you from doing the higher value stuff that only you can do. And so what I say to people, first, we do that. And then second is, as long as you're the only person in your business who can do a thing, you will always be stuck doing that thing. And so that's how people start to see, oh, you're right. I could break free. I could let go of this. I could imagine if I never needed to look at my bookkeeping again and someone else managed that. Imagine if I never needed to write my own website copy again. How good would that feel, especially if your skill set lies somewhere else?
Very good. Yeah, I like that. So I want to wrap things up here, and I just want to end back on what our theme is messaging and making sure that your copy and messaging meet the caliber of your offers. So let me ask you, when someone's positioning and messaging are clear, they're finally speaking exactly to that ideal target audience, exactly to their real pain points and needs, what do you notice shifts first for the business owner?
So typically what I see is rapid growth. It's not linear. It could be a doubling quite quickly when this gets refined. And that's really exciting.
I like that. Yeah.
But rapid growth can also lead to rapid stress and breaking of problems.
More bottlenecks.
So it's really
one thing
exciting.
At a time.
Like solving your marketing is an important part of growth. Often once people have solved their marketing, now they need to solve their operations and grow their capacity to be able to keep up with the new demand. So it really goes hand in hand. But yeah, with the clients I work with, I work with a lot of marketers, and when they do get it right, it's you could literally double your business in a few months when that's functioning well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then now you're like, okay, well, if I doubled my business in a short amount of time, where would my time get stretched? What kind of support would I need? What would break? Now you get to solve those problems to be able to keep going.
Good. Yeah. I love that. So I end every podcast with this question. So I'm going to give it to you. What's one responsibility you've let go of or plan to let go of that's allowed your business to expand, make a bigger impact, or attract better fit clients?
Really good question. So I'm maybe a rare person where I'm intentionally staying solo. I like the simplicity. I've had businesses with big teams and I've managed a lot of people. And I just find the simplicity of having one calendar and knowing exactly what I'm doing and not having to ask other people when I want time off or anything. So I stay intentionally small, but I still work with contractors who help me with my copywriting, with my bookkeeping, with different areas that, like I said, frees me up to double down on coaching, which is where I add the most value and get the most enjoyment in my business. So that's the examples I've been using are the examples because that's the support that I've really benefited from.
Good. Very good. So tell listeners how they can reach you, and is there something that you have for them?
Sure. So great place to reach out would be LinkedIn. My name's Jordan Tate, and my website is theintentionalbusiness.com. And on both those places, you're going to be able to learn about who I work with, how I support. But if you'd love to connect and reach out, I'd love to hear what you thought from this podcast. And in terms of something to add value, I also have a business called Profit Map, which is a software that helps business owners understand their finances clearly and pinpoints how they can make more money. And so I created this to support the work I do in coaching, but because a lot of the stress we've talked about with people and the overwork and the burnout is often the result of not having enough money coming in to feel secure. So Profit Map is a free tool it's got a 2-week free trial. You can check it out. And the website's profitmap.io.
All right. Thank you. And we will put that in the show notes so people can check that out. Well, thank you so much, Jordan, for being with us today. There were so many good gold nuggets. I know people are going to listen to this and they're going to gain so much value from it. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I love this conversation.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today on this episode of 7 Figure Copy. If this conversation resonated and you know that your messaging, that your copy is not matching the caliber of the wonderful work that you do, then please reach out to me at whitehousesm.com to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right conversion copywriter for you. And I'll see you next time.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.